Seen a crazy stat the other day. 0.004% of men over 35 have a visible six-pack. It got me thinking, I wonder how many of that percentage don't live like bodybuilders, have never taken any TRT, peptides, steroids, or PEDs in their life, and is an avid wine connoisseur. I think I'm in a league of my own. So as somebody who's lived with a six-pack for over 10 years and is 36, nearly 37, I thought I'd bring you through 10 habits that have kept me at 10% body fat for over 10 years. Let's get into the video. So with these 10 habits, some of them will be obvious and maybe you're already doing, but there's going to be a couple that maybe you haven't heard before, and a lot is just my own personal experience over the last 20 years. So habit number 1 is a morning walk. The principle here is daily activity and just living an active lifestyle. This is a game changer and a cheat code for getting lean and staying lean. I started implementing a morning walk probably 15 years ago, and it just sets me up for the day, especially if you can get outside, get sunlight. It's going to regulate your circadian rhythm, which is going to also help with your mood, your energy, regulating your hunger and appetite across the day. And I don't really even care about a step target. More so, living an active lifestyle is key. I try not to drive as much as I can. If I can walk anywhere, I will. I also look for movement breaks throughout the day or pockets where I can increase my activity. Again, this could be pairing, maybe going for a walk while being on the phone, doing replies, listening to a podcast instead of being on the couch. If I can move at any point, I will. This is also really, really good because it's low intensity, it's not fatiguing, and you get a ton of other benefits outside of just moving more and getting an extra calorie burn. Habit number 2 is protecting my sleep. This is probably something you will have heard many, many times, but it's one of the biggest. I look at sleep like the master key that unlocks every other door. When you are sleeping well, you're going to recover better, you're going to have better energy, you're going to have a better appetite regulation. It's going to help you be consistent with your training, your diet, and just your day-to-day functioning. So I make sure and absolutely guard my sleep with my life. A few things: making sure that you have a wind down routine, getting to bed, a consistent sleep schedule. So going to sleep and waking up around the same time each day is an absolute game changer. Making sure you're sleeping in a room that is cold, dark, getting off your phone, trying 1 hour. Again, we live in 2026, at least 30 minutes. But what I do is I put my phone to black and white once it gets dark. I also make sure light, I try to use just no down lighting. And even for me, I have a red light lamp that I put on in the evenings. It just helps my brain relax, calm down, and get ready for sleep. Also, not eating too close to bed, because again, that's going to affect the quality of your sleep. It's something, if you could, especially for a lot of people who are working long hours, living stressful lifestyles, high stress usually goes with poor sleep. And this has an accumulative effect. Often it's kind of happens in silence, so you don't realize that you're moving less, you're snacking more. Again, all these things are going to be very hard to stay lean if you, over time, especially over a long period of time, if you're not getting enough sleep. So protect your sleep with your life. Look to continually improve it. I track mine with an Oura. Again, Whoop is there as well, but also your own feedback. Knowing how you feel in the morning is really important. So sleep is the master key. Don't neglect it. Habit number 3 is training. We're actually going with the simple ones first. Some of the ones you mightn't think are actually coming down the line. So for training, I make sure muscle mass and fitness. These are 2 keys to getting lean and staying lean. Reason being, having muscle and training for muscle gain is super, super beneficial, because one, you look better. I feel like if you're like really skinny and have a six-pack, it's kind of defeating the purpose. If you want to have abs, you also want to have a bit of muscle on your frame that you look better. So training for muscle growth is key. This is the hypertrophy rep ranges, making sure you're lifting weights in the gym. And I also, over the last couple of years, especially as I've gotten older, making sure that you are cardiovascular fit is super, super important. And it actually helps to stay lean as well. I've found I've taken up running again over the last 3 years. I came from a sporting background when I was young, stopped when I was kind of more into weight training, probably in my 20s. And I've picked it up again the last 3 years. And it's definitely made a difference to allow me to stay leaner year round. Also really increasing your fitness. Your body just functions more efficiently. You're gonna be more insulin sensitive. You're gonna have better nutrient partitioning. You'll have better sleep, lower resting heart rate. All these good things that compound that will allow you to, and even you'll burn more energy because again, you're doing more cardiovascular activity. And so it's creating that mix, making sure you are building muscle and you have enough muscle mass, but also getting your cardio in. So it's finding that balance and sweet spot of fitness and muscle mass, which make getting lean easier and staying lean long term. Habit number 4 is simple nutrition. I've had abs and done photo shoots for over 10 years. I have never been on quote unquote a diet. I've never done keto, I've never cut carbs, I've never fasted. Sometimes I push back my first meal. I call it enjoying caffeine and wanting to work. But there's no cutting of food groups, nothing is off limits. I include alcohol, I include meals out. Again, it's much more about moderation and keeping some basic principles. Getting enough protein, eating lots of fruit and veg, trying to keep my diet minimally processed, single ingredient foods, and honestly just being consistent with it over time. Knowing my calorie intake, how much I'm consuming. Again, if you wanna lose weight, maintain your weight, or gain weight, you have to know your numbers. Anyone who talks about calories not being a thing is insane in the head. Please do not listen to them. I've also gotten to a point in my journey with my nutrition that I don't need to track anymore. I have a really good understanding of what's in foods, your macros, your carbs, your fats, your protein. I use a very simple eating structure, which is simple meal, 3 meals, 1 snack, basically every single day. I still eat out, drink alcohol, enjoy my weekends, travel, do all that good stuff, which is coming down the line, another habit. But the key point here is I see so many people hopping on trends, fads, trying to cut carbs, do all these kind of like crazy diets. If you can't see yourself doing it in a year's time, you shouldn't be following it. I've been eating the same way for 10, 15 plus years, and it just makes nutrition so simple for me. I don't have to think about a million things. I have a process and it's not restrictive. It follows some principles and that's it. That's all you need. Habit number 5 is daily weigh-ins. I think this is such a minimal effort for a high reward that everybody should be doing it. There is some research, I think, that daily weigh-ins in general keep you more accountable and can help you better maintain your weight. And really what it is it's monitoring your progress. So I take daily weigh-ins and I look at weekly averages over time and monthly averages. That way, what it really does is it makes sure, especially for me, if I'm not tracking my calories, I'm living my life, I'm being social, it makes sure I'm never going too far away. I have kind of monthly targets that I know where I want to be in terms of my body composition, my body weight. I track it each day. It takes me literally 15 seconds. I look at the averages over time and I can make decisions based on that. I can see if my weight is going up too fast that I want. I know I'm probably being too loose with nutrition. I can tighten up 7 days. That's all I need. And then over time, again, I just keep doing that process. A lot of people, they don't monitor things and then they let things slip and slide. So one weekend becomes 1 week, which becomes 1 month. And that's where, again, it becomes very hard to stay lean year round if you are not being on top of those things and just having that awareness to pull back when needed. Also, I have no emotion to the weigh-ins. It is simply a number. I step on it, record it, and move on. A lot of people get caught up with body weight and again, it affects them mentally, emotionally. I've got to a point where literally it is just data. I'm looking at longer trends over time and I just get on, get off and get on with my day. So habit number 6 is weekly planning and reflecting. This is one that I see a lot of people do not do. And there's 2 parts. There's planning out your week, which is forecasting. It's planning ahead. It's being able to see, okay, this is what I have on. This is how I need to structure my week or adapt things depending on my schedule. And then the reflecting part is huge. A lot of people, they actually don't look back on their week and see what went well, what didn't, what needs to improve, where do I need to put my focus, maybe what do I need to stop doing. And this, I think, is so important, because one, the planning, you can forecast, you can see ahead. A lot of people get stuck living day to day, and this is where you get caught up in the rat race often, and then you don't plan ahead. And that's where, again, one day turns into a bad week, which turns into a bad run of weeks, which is then when progress can be affected. Whereas when you can plan out your weeks, you can see what your routine is like, you actually are more likely to adhere to it then. It's the same thing with nutrition. If you try and wing your nutrition versus planning it ahead of time, you're going to be much more adherent when you plan it ahead. And then the reflection part is key, because a lot of people like body weight. Body weight kind of keeps you honest, keeps you accountable. When you reflect, you can actually look at, okay, how did the week go? And, did I make any mistakes? Where can I improve? Where am I slipping? Versus if you don't do that, you just let yourself continue to slide. And the big thing about staying in shape year round is not being perfect, it's being consistent. And how do you be consistent? Is by reflecting. So planning your weeks, reflecting, this is a game changer if you want to stay lean year round. Habit number 7 is choosing your indulgences. So nobody wants to live like a robot. Nobody wants to live like a bodybuilder, eat out Tupperware all day, and for the sake of having abs, having absolutely no life. Trust me, it's not worth it. There was a point in time where I probably did do that. So I like to make sure, this is what I call social systems. I have a system for eating out, drinking alcohol, traveling, socializing, all these different things. Over the years, I've created systems, routines, and habits that I know, okay, if I'm going for a meal out, I know exactly what to do before it, I know how to choose the foods, and I know what to do after it to make sure I get back on track. But also inside that, I'm really picky now with what's worth having. A lot of the times for people, right, we actually overindulge, or we say yes to things we don't even really want to do, right? We just feel pressure to do it. I've gotten a lot better at saying no over the years, and I think as you get older, you get much more selective with who and what you choose to do with your time. And the thing is, with those systems, it really allows me to continue to live my life, because what you don't want to do is be worrying about going on holidays, worrying about travel, eating out, alcohol. You want to include all these things into your lifestyle. If you don't, you're just going to feel restricted, which is going to affect your ability to be consistent in the long term. So having systems for all these social outings is key, and it makes the whole consistency and sustainability over the long term just a lot more easier to do. And that's going to keep you lean, because if you feel too restricted, and then you end up keep going off track and on track, which a lot of people fall into, this all or nothing, you're never going to be able to stay lean year round. Habit number 8 is environment dictates performance. This is one of my favorite sayings that I've ever heard. James Clear talks so much about your environment. Essentially, it's like the invisible hand that shapes your behavior. So for a lot of people, they don't really look at their environment, and they think about their training, their nutrition, their macros and stuff. But realistically, your environment is influencing everything you're doing, especially over time. I think James Clear said he's never seen positive habits in a negative environment. And even for me, I'm so aware of my environment, even to the point of where I live, who I associate with, the type of environment I have in my kitchen, in my office, everything, because it all influences your decisions. And then over time, if you can design your environment for success, for essentially staying lean, living a healthy lifestyle, it's absolutely key. For me, I have also my partner. Again, both of us are into fitness. It makes it so much easier. If she was sitting on the couch next to me every night eating takeaway, and I could smell that, wouldn't work. If I want to do something active, she doesn't, wouldn't work. So you need to have the right environment around you it sets you up for success. And I see this so often with people who maybe struggle to stay in shape and struggle to stay lean. It's not that their nutrition is off, it's literally the environment. They're fighting their environment. You'll know it if you've ever been in a toxic work environment. How bad is that for your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, especially over a long period of time? So again, this is the compound effect of these habits. Is it, you get away with it for a month, but again, across years, having the right environment is honestly the difference between staying in shape or consistently going in and out. Habit number 9 is the 8 weeks out concept. This is something that I came up with a few years ago. Essentially, I want to live at a point where I'm always 8 weeks away from doing anything. So what that means is whether it's doing a photo shoot, running a half marathon, doing a high rocks or some fitness event, I want to live at a point where I'm never too far away from these things. And in order to do that, you need to have a baseline level of body composition, fitness, strength, and also just the habits and lifestyle to do that. And when I live at this 8 weeks out concept, what happens is I basically just live my life, and then throughout the year I'll set these little goals, whether it's okay, I'm going to prep for a half marathon now. And the good thing is, because of my baseline, I don't have to do a 6-month prep and lose 30 pounds. I literally just go, okay, I'm focusing more on running for this 8-week period. Bang. And then I do it. Same with a photo shoot. I'm like, okay, 8-week diet, really lock in. And that's the thing. Look, think of it like I'm driving in cruise control, and then every once in a while I'll go, okay, I'm going to put the foot down, the accelerator now, and we're going to go a little bit faster. And that also keeps me challenged. It keeps me from plateauing and just falling into kind of maybe bad habits or just maintaining. It's looking at actually improving, which leads me to habit number 10. The last and final habit is the 1% better approach. This is a mindset called Kaizen, which is Japanese. It's tattooed on me here. It's the mindset of continuous improvement, getting 1% better each day. And you might think, how does this tie into staying lean? Like I said in the last habit, a lot of people struggle because they get to a point where they get complacent, or they just hit a plateau with their training, nutrition, body comp, fitness, whatever it is. And they kind of like, you get to a point where you're happy and content. But the problem is humans and the way we're wired, we are wired for purpose, challenge. We want to achieve things, right? And for me, an achievement is a huge value that I have. So I'm always trying to get better. And if you look at every other habit, I take the 1% approach into that. How can I sleep a little bit better? How can I train better? Can I improve my intensity, my technique? How can I make my diet better? Can I have small improvements in the quality of the food I'm eating, the setup? Every single habit that I've gone through goes through the lens of the 1% better approach. Can I focus a little bit more on my sleep? What little tweak can I make to get 1% better? Because if you get 1% better every single day for a year, you have got 37% better by the end of the year. Just take that in. And this approach works backwards. If you get 1% worse each day, you'll be 37 times worse at the end of a year. If you compound that over 10 years, I know which way I'd rather go. So continuous improvement, the 1% better each day approach, this is literally the way I live my life. And it's how I stay in shape year round, have done for over 10 years. So I hope you got some value from today's video. Implement these habits into your life. I promise you'll come back to me in 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 3 months, and you will say these changed my life, because they changed mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We are on the way to 1,000 subscribers. If you did get value from this video, drop a comment. What habit are you going to implement? What one stood out to you? And let's help a small creator like me grow.